Well, so thanks for joining us this morning. And as always, you can get interactive on Facebook, JoyNews on TV. It's where you can watch us also live. And talking about where you can also watch us live is through our YouTube channel, Major Online TV. And that is where you can also get a lot of our uploads. So, for example, after this segment, we're going to have the upload on Major Online TV. And you can watch us at any point in time during the day, because we're being told now data is cheap. So when you have data, you can watch us. But we know there is a live coverage of the State of the Nation address. The President is having his second. And it's the 8th of February 2018. It's a year and a day after the President was inaugurated as the President of the Republic of Ghana, having won the elections way back in December 2016. And a year on, the President is going to tell the nation, but before Parliament, what the current state of the nation is. And we know that he inherited an economy and for which the growth rate is now pegged around 7.6%. And more so, we've had the budget deficit also cut down to about 5.6%. So you have great insight as far as the macroeconomic indicators are. We also know just recently the Bank of Ghana consistently over the last 2 quarters have been bringing down the interest rates. But of course, it's not been reflecting as far as the rate is with the commercial banks, but it's a good indicator of where the economy is heading. But there are questions that we also need to ask, and who more or less to give us a helping hand than regular discussants on the show. And Daniel Aboagye is a member of Parliament for Bantama. He has a finance background. He's also an entrepreneur, so he helps us put the matters into greater perspective. And Daniel, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
And I also have Mohammed Abdulaziz is a regular on the show, member of Parliament for Myong, a good friend of mine also. And thanks for joining me, Mohammed.
Thank you, Roland.
And just before we came on the show, he'd been making some calls to make sure he got his numbers for the argument right. And that's a good thing about it. Mohammed, good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Roland.
And I have to start with you, Daniel. When it comes to the State of the Nation address, it's always making sure that what the current state is also pegged with a projection. But we know really the President is just supposed to come and tell you, the members of Parliament, what the state of the nation is, especially over the last 12 months since he inherited from the JDM's NDC administration. What you say?
Yeah. Well, let me just say good morning to you. It's a long time I haven't seen you for some time.
Yes. And you told me you were a bit under the weather.
So I was, yes.
It's good that you have recovered speedily.
By God's grace, I'm doing well now. And let me say good morning also to our church viewers and people in Bantima, and of course to everybody who's watching us and hearing us. And to say that this State of the Nation address, I think, is going to be quite good. I believe we have something to talk about now. We've been in power for at least a year. Like you stated, we know where we started from. You know, the country that was in a mess, so to say. You know, a whole lot of instability everywhere you looked those times. So we took it over from a point of instability everywhere in the economy, and then brought it to the point of stability at the end of 2017. And now we are in an action year. That's what I call it. Where I don't expect to hear anything significantly different from what we are used to or what we know, because like the President even said in his first State of the Nation address that I'm not going to tell you guys anything different. It is the same policies I've been going and running in my manifestos during my campaign, telling everybody that I'm going to come in with one district, one factory, you know, one constituency, $1 million, you know, one village in the northern region, one dam and stuff like that. So basically, what we are going to hear today, in my view, is basically what we have been able to do for 1 year and what he plans to do. And our friends, I'm sure, are going to start talking about free SHS and the problems that the President now can tell you. Before they even mention it, he will, you know, admit it. We implemented the policy, it has some challenges. Why not? Let's deal with it. Let's fix the problems as they come. So I believe it's not going to be anything too new. People will be talking about security. They'll be expecting to hear things about security issues. The President is going to tell you about the spot of challenges that we have experienced security and what his plans are. But I can tell you, all in all, the MPP government is doing well and Ghana is working again.
But Mohammed, you say that the president has been campaigning or has still been in a campaign mood.
Good morning to you, Roland, and good morning to my friend Aboagye, and good morning to our viewers. Yes, I've always maintained that President Akufo-Addo is yet to get into the governance mood. I've always believed that he's still campaigning. I remember last year when His Excellency the President came to deliver the State of the Nation address. I had the privilege to contribute to the debate on the floor, and I remember stating that the President had turned the floor of Parliament into Manchagbona rally, and I still believe that he hasn't changed that much. We are yet to listen to him today. Maybe something could have happened in the last 24 hours. His thinking and approach to governance may have changed, but watching and listening to the President since he assumed office, I haven't seen any change. State of the Nation address, Roland, you know that it is not anything new. It is not anything that President Akufo-Addo is introducing. It's a constitutional provision that the President, through Parliament, would address the nation. And so President Rawlings, President Kufuor, President Mills, of blessed memory, and President Mahama all did. So he's just coming to continue what his predecessors have done, something provided for in the Constitution that is governing this country. I just hope and pray that the President would be candid enough today. He would speak to the issues as they are. The State of the Nation address, as the name itself would suggest, is to afford the President an opportunity to virtually draw the balance sheet of our country to us. We expect him to touch on the various sectors of our life. These days, the budget comes ahead of the State of the Nation address, and so some major government policies were announced in the 2018 budget, and so we don't expect to hear something very new and different from the budget, because, like I indicated, major government economic policies were announced. But we still expect the President himself to tell us what the real situation is on the ground. I don't expect him to speak as if to suggest that he was a party communicator, or I don't expect his speech to be informed by what his communicators say on radio and TV. He is the President of the Republic. He has access to all the information and data that myself and you may not have. And so I expect him to be very truthful, honest, and candid to the Ghanaian public this morning when he comes to the floor of Parliament. That is my preliminary comments. In fact, even before my friend will come in, I listened to Aboagye talking about they having turned the economy around and making some allusions to look, the Ghanaian public are watching and they know what is happening. Whether you have turned the economy around or not, it doesn't lie in your mouth or that of President Akufo-Addo to tell us what is happening. We are aware of the state of insecurity. We are aware of all the failed promises that your government has engaged in. In fact, we are aware that we have not done the 51 factories that you promised to do.
You say that on the macroeconomic front, the economy has improved drastically, especially when you have a cursory assessment of what the indicators have been, and then that general sense of anxiety that had gripped the nation prior to the 2016 election doesn't seem to be on, let's say, 13 months or 14 months down the lane.
Roland, you shouldn't expect the same level of anxiety. After all, we're going into an election. And so the level of anxiety cannot be the same a year or more after an election. Speaking about the macroeconomic indicators, we can interrogate the figures and we can do comparisons. For instance, when you are talking about deficits, you know, this is a government that bequeathed to President Mills a deficit of 24%. What deficit did they meet? And when you talk about the growth of the economy, 6.3%, 7%, you must also be interested in the real growth of the economy. When your economy grows simply because of revenue that we are able to rig in as a result of oil, that is not real growth because it doesn't guarantee jobs to the Ghanaian public. So we can begin to interrogate the numbers. In any case, Roland, we didn't vote for the MPP to come and showcase to this country microeconomic indicators, but to make life sustainable, to deal with the issues of cost of living. Let me give you an analogy. If you were to rush your patient to an hospital, the hospital takes delivery of your patient, rushes him or her into the intensive care unit, go and do surgery and what have you. Now the doctor walks out of the surgery room to tell you that, you know what, I have done my best. My surgery was successful. But you lost your patient. What meaning does it make to you as a person who brought the patient? What does it mean to you? Because you brought your patient to be treated, to be healed and discharged. And so if you have successfully dealt with the issues of macroeconomic indicators and yet life is becoming unbearable, fuel prices are on the increase, unemployment is increasing, there's a very high level of insecurity, you have not added even 1% to our water stock, you have not added 1% to the electricity stock in this country, to our generation capacity. What have you done? What have you done? In any case, my good friend, last year when President Akufo-Addo came, he was very loud on inheriting an economy with a very huge public debt of about 122 billion Ghana cedis. Today, I am just hoping that President Akufo-Addo will tell us our national debt stock as at least December 2017.
Roland, let's continue with my friend's analogy of a doctor who is going to do a surgery on a patient. And in his case, the patient died. And I can tell you, Ghana is not dead. If Ghana is the patient, Ghana is not dead in this case. And to help the doctor get to know what he has to do. He has to take what? The body temperature and take some statistics, vital stats of the country. So if you look at all those indicators that the doctor has to look at before he does the surgery, that is what we are talking about. Things have changed. We were in a state of instability under NDC's mess, under President Mahamad's watch, former President Mahamad's watch. Everything was unstable. So we took the patient to the room, and what we had to do first, regardless of anything, was to stabilize the patient and to give the patient some hope. In this case, the patient is not there. The patient is actually doing well. Ghana is doing well. Ghana is stable now. The economy is growing. Inflation is going down. Deficit is being managed. So what do you have to say? These are indicators. These are the things we need to measure whether or not we are doing well as a country. Yes, you may talk about the price of fuel. Not too worried about that. Price of fuel is going up. But what happened under their watch? I don't know, Roland, if you remember. Under NDC's watch, I think somewhere in 2015-16, when the price of fuel was going down globally, from some $100 plus to about $28, our friends in NDC, it was a seesaw. When the world market price was going down, Ghana's was going up. If you like, compare under their watch, maybe 2015, 2016, the growth in the price of fuel versus ours. Even just if you like, compare the growth in terms of depreciation of the city. It averages about 11+%. 2017 is not up to 11+%. So he cannot even live by the statistics that they are seeing. Those are the indicators that the doctor, in this case the president, is using to run the country. That is how we are being measured as a country, and they are all pointing to the right direction, unlike what they left us. So they can say anything. Go to Bantima market and see. You're talking about fuel prices. Go and ask about the price of plantain. I have a sister in Bantima of him. He said, Honorable, do you know what happened this is? I said, what? In Bantima market, you use our leg to ask for the price of plantain. All she's trying to say is that plantain has become so cheap to the point that even we use our leg. How much is this plantain? In Baltimore market. So they can choose to be selective in what they want to talk about when they are looking at the state of the nation. I can tell you, Ghana is working again. It's already working again. And because of that, our friends in the NDC have intentionally taken strategies and tactics to distract the government from what the good things is doing. But it's not going to work. They know it. May Ghanaians be the judge. Your propaganda will not work.
But is it not telling that just 24 hours before the president reached his second State of the Nation address, will have demonstrated converging at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange area just to voice out vociferously their concerns about increasing rates of fuel as far as the prices are, and how that has an overbearing influence on the inflationary trends at the market, not what the Bank of Ghana is reporting, per what they have to buy at the market. And that's a grave concern, or should be a grave concern for anybody. Yeah. Even you who is touting the prospect and the positive atmosphere that we have witnessed under Nana Addo Dankwa.
Let me tell you, all is not right. Nobody is saying that. Nobody is saying all is right. Given the mess that we inherited, we are working through the troubles. We are working down the issues. So all is not right. And they are talking about the people that are demonstrating right now. You know, they have a right to demonstrate. They are there to vent or to let the president know what they are not happy with. You think I'm happy that price of fuel is up? I am not. But what can we do? It was under our friends in NDC who actually embarked on the deregulation of the price of what? Fuel. And today, we have to follow what the demand and supply is doing.
And you criticized the fuel prices at the time, and you made political capital out of it.
Well, that is what we say. The question is that we have intentions. We have 4-year mandate. We have intentions to make sure that the cost of living goes down. But we cannot do everything one time. We can't. We have to admit it. We cannot use 1 year or let's say 14 months to deal with the mess that we inherited from NDC.
What do you mean by mess? You keep constantly referring to mess.
You're talking.
Those should be part of your political communication 12 months before, not now.
No. Anybody
you've inherited, or you've been in government for over a year.
Anybody who forgets their history will miss the road to wherever they are going or wherever their destination is. We cannot speak of the accomplishment of MPP government in the 14 months or in 12 months or 1 year without reference to where we started. Otherwise, we will not appreciate it. It's just like the Israelites who made it to Canaan. Those that suffered in Egypt, they remember, they have a different appreciation of Canaan when they got there.
Now you are becoming biblical.
Yes, why not?
It's got into that.
So we have to remember the history. Where did we come from? Where have we come from as a people? In the mess, 8 years of NDC's mess. High unemployment, of course, we are still experiencing unemployment. We are working the problem. High deficit, we have high debt stock. We have, high inflation. You know, if it was under NDC, right? If NDC were to continue, and thank God they didn't, prices of goods and services will have increased about 60%. Yes. Because we have inflation, price of things will increase. But under our watch, it will increase about 11.5 or so percent. So that's the difference between us and them. And you see what is happening. Ghanaians voted for a change for a reason. Now you see all the discoveries that are coming with Auditor General's report and the President's reviews of contracts and the corruption that we are seeing. I am not saying we in MPP are perfect or angels. We are people who may probably do certain things that are not in line with what we stand for as a party. But I can tell you, the level of corruption, the mismanagement we experience, the incompetence, the great loot and share are all becoming evident. The evidence are coming out. And this, I'm telling you, is just a tick of an aspect. NDC, as we keep saying, they have to be in opposition for a long, long time. So we get opportunity to fix this country. I'm telling you, they collapse Ghana. I thank God. Nana Akufo-Addo is here. The gift from God is here. And together we are moving Ghana forward. So our friends can choose to do whatever they want. They can distract us. They can continue with their propaganda. Whatever they want to do. Ghana is working again, and Ghanaians are going to be the judge. Everything is not right. No. But please, give us opportunity to continue to fix the problems as they come.
Well, now let's look at sector by sector, and let's take agriculture. And over the period, we've seen, well, particularly the implementation of the policy, the planting for food and jobs. And just recently, the minister even said that some 45,000 or 49,000 jobs, some 749 or 45,000 jobs have been created in all tourism. That also boils down to a vision to ensure that the numbers that we had seen prior to the last financial year, as far as the agricultural numbers are concerned in terms of the growth, would see some markup, and the farmers also will have some positive news to hear at the end of the farming season.
Roland, even before I get to the
subject of agriculture
subsector of our economy, let me repeat that our friends led by the President of the Republic are still in the campaign mood, and so I'm not surprised to hear Honorable Aboagye constantly say that they came to meet a mess, and they would normally refer to the debt that they came to meet and then the deficits that they came to meet. But you see, I've always reminded you that what we left behind in modern day economics, we call it investments and not debt, because there are very tangible projects that we can point to for what we borrowed for. No, it's not about cost. You see, if you want us to talk about cost, for instance, how would you, for instance, as a finance minister, go and borrow at almost 20% to come and reprofile a debt that you could have paid for at the rate of 16%? That doesn't happen anywhere in this world. Look, Roland, why? You see, if you say you came to meet a mess, you are talking of a government that spent over $2 billion in the health subsector alone. You are talking about a government that left you with a university in the Volta region and one in the Western region, and works had started for one in the Eastern region. You are talking about a government that moved access to safe drinking water from a little over 50% to over 80%. You are talking about a government that moved access to electricity from a little over 50% to more than 80%. This cannot be a mess. You never inherited a mess. In fact, you are plunging this country into a mess. If for nothing at all, Honorable Aboagye, it is on record, and you are a member of the Finance Committee, that for the period 2017 alone, you guys borrowed over 30 billion Ghana cedis. You cannot point to a single project that you have used it for. In fact, not even a block, a 3-classroom block, you have not added to the educational infrastructure of this country. You have done virtually nothing. Apart from all the taxes that you have taken, you have also borrowed over 30 billion Ghana cedis, something you cannot account for. And you say you came to meet a mess, you are rather plunging this country into a mess. Roland, coming back to the issue of the agriculture, you see, I'm not sure President Akufo-Addo would be bold enough to repeat that figure of 745,000 jobs from the Planting for Food and Jobs program. I am sure the president will be advised not to embarrass himself with those numbers. How? That one policy, just one project within one ministry, generating about 745,000 jobs within a period of 6 months? Incredible. The entire public service in this country is a little over 600,000. We can feel the presence of the public service in this country. We can feel their income. And for you to have created over 740,000 jobs within 6 months from just one program, this cannot be true. In fact, even the president, when he engaged the media, was very candid that he didn't have the numbers about employment and labor, and that we should give him 3 months. And our great minister comes on air to churn out these numbers without any basis, without any evidence, and he wants us to believe it. I'm telling you, if it is true that they have created 745,000 jobs from Planting for Food and Jobs, what it means is that by the time that they will be finishing their term in 2020, they would have erased unemployment in this country, because they would have succeeded in creating about 3 million jobs. What is the entire population of this country? What is the unemployment rate, the numbers that relates to unemployment? This is not true. I have always said that you can govern and govern well when you are honest and when you are being candid to the public. In fact, it's a blatant lie that they created about 745,000 jobs. The entire country since our colonial era, through to Nkrumah, through to Liman, through to Rawlings, up to today, we have only a little over 600,000 public sector workers. An agri minister looks at me in my face and tells me that his project has created about 745,000 jobs. If we ask him how many of them were recruited into extension services, I mean, how many people have come into farming?
Directly. He said there are jobs created along the value chain. So you have farmers who will go onwardly to employ people. They will have extension service officers. There are people who will be selling chemicals, etc., to the farmers.
Even before.
And those are the indicators that you use to measure employment or unemployment rates.
Roland, yes, even before the inception of planting for food and jobs, people were selling agrochemicals. Even before the inception of the planting for food and jobs, farmers were recruiting people. The man must provide us with the basis for that assertion. You just don't churn out numbers and you expect that Ghanaians are gullible and that will take it.
So for you, that is not enough?
It is not true. I'm not saying it's not enough. It is a blatant lie. You should prove it. You should tell us. These are the number of people who have come into farming as a result of the planting for food and jobs. These are people who hitherto were not engaged in farming. And these are the numbers that they have also recruited to work on their farms. I have always maintained that, you see, this government has a very narrow understanding of how to work out the challenges in the agri sector. What are they doing under the planting for food and jobs? What are they doing? All that they are doing is that they are subsidizing the cost of fertilizer. Subsidizing the cost of fertilizer has been a practice in this country since the days of President Rawlings. Perhaps what they are doing under this program is that they are subsidizing at a higher rate than before, just maybe. But you see, agri goes beyond just fertilizer. You are looking at guaranteeing some fair prices for our farm produce. Honorable Aboagye just told you and I and our viewers that his sister called to tell him that today they use their legs to ask for the price of plantain. In Bantima market. My heart bleeds for our farmers. My heart bleeds for our farmers that if after going to till the land and sweat, all that happens in Bantima market is for people to use their legs to ask about the price. It tells you how impoverished we are subjecting our farmers to. And you are proud of that. You see, no, just take it. Take it. No.
Reference, it is in reference to tell you that it has become so cheap that you don't even have.
You have your 10.
Let me correct you because you are making.
No, you have your 10.
No. It just means that you don't even have the time to go down and bow down and ask for the price.
You have more than enough.
Because you have more than enough. Supply has exceeded, demand. Basically, that's what they. So don't make any.
Okay, point me. So that I can proceed.
Out of this.
I am saying that you guys have a very narrow understanding of how to deal with the challenges in the agri subsector. You are dealing with issues of guaranteeing fair prices for our farmers so that when they go and sweat on their farmlands, they can be sure that at least they can live very closely to what other workers do. You are talking about feeder routes that would enable them to cut their farm produce from the farm gates to the market centers. And that's why President Mahama and the NDC invested a lot into feeder routes. In fact, in 2017, 103 feeder routes nationwide. Not even a single one have you done. And so you don't even understand the problem of this country. In fact, I can tell you for sure, it's on record, in my constituency, 3 major feeder roads were awarded under the government of President Mahama. This government has come to reduce the scope of those works.
In your constituency?
In my constituency. In fact, in some constituencies, they have terminated those contracts.
Well, it's also because we've been told, and I don't know whether there's any confirmation from the Auditor General and all the concerns that have been raised about over-invoicing and over-expenditure and overpayment, that some of those contracts, in all truthfulness, had come under some scrutiny because of the quantities and the prices or the rate at which they've been pegged for the ordinary tax payer to bear. And that's a concern for the Akufo-Addo-led government, would you say?
What they indicated in reducing the scope of some of these works and terminating some of them, the reason that they gave to us was that they were broke and that they came to meet an empty coffers, and that we left behind an empty coffers for them. That is worrying. An empty coffers that was able to provide an amount of 1.5 billion Ghana cedis for the office of the president in 2017, and provided about 2 billion Ghana cedis for the same office, the Flagstaff House, for 2018, and yet you couldn't find money to fix our feeder roads, to facilitate agriculture. You cannot find $6 million to make the University of Ghana Medical Center function. President Mahama and President Mills secured $217 million to put up that medical center at Legon. You, the competent government of Akufo-Addo, cannot find $6 million to operationalize that facility. Indeed, the battle is that of the Lords.
But agriculture remains a key milestone for the Akufo-Addo-led government. And we've seen the numbers improved over the last 12 months, especially when you look at the quarters within the financial year. And that speaks volumes about the level of investment and what has been done, even though, of course, that is very disputable as far as what the concerns have been raised from the other side of the political divide.
Well, let me just stand by saying this, that they say there's a saying that goes that long talk does not buy a horse. You see how my brother is struggling to defend the indefensible?
You thought I was struggling?
Very struggling.
You thought I was struggling?
You see, what we told you before we came to power, create, loot, and share.
You think that's what is going on or had gone on?
Oh my God. Roland, look, our friends in NDC, they are going to be, there's a lot of things. What we are seeing now, I can tell you, is just tip of an iceberg. There will be many, many discoveries. He's talking about they didn't leave us debt, they didn't leave us anything, they left us
projects. He's talking about the quantum
and
investments.
The level
and I have told you the project that we use them for. I have challenged you, to tell us what we use over 30 billion for. Yes. Proceed.
Mr. Aboagye, please.
Let me say this. They left out investment. The question is, at what cost? At what cost? You're talking about we have not even added a capacity to the electricity generation.
Yes.
What do you call it?
Yes.
Roland, who told you the problem we had with the electricity was capacity issues? Who told you? The Vice President has said that it was not a technical issue. It was financial issue. And to me, financial issues, he meant it was management issue. Okay? So, why do you expect us to come and add a kilowatt of capacity when we already have capacity? The issue was management. And because you did not know how to manage and prioritize the things you need to do for this country, you are talking that we should add a capacity. We haven't added any capacity. What we did was to come and fix your mess by making sure that we paid some of the debt, and we make sure we put efficient management system in place where the light can be switched on. That's what we did. So we don't have to duplicate what you did. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Add capacity for what? For electricity. And then you talk about contracts. And then they will tell us, this government is not paying contractors. This government, look at what we are discovering.
What are you discovering?
Go and read the Auditor General's report.
Well,
a contract of 1 million Ghana cedis.
What the Auditor General is saying.
A contract of 1 million Ghana cedis. But our friends in NDC will charge 1.8 million.
But you would also know that even the Association of Road Contractors have come to dispute some of the content of the Auditor General's report in relation to the contracts given to the contractors and even the payments thereof.
Let's see what happens. Let us see. Do you remember the President has said when he met the press that through the review of contract, we've saved over 5.7 billion Ghana cedis under their watch. Listen, there's so much we can talk about when it comes to NDC, their create, loot, and share. So you have provided investment, all right, but at what cost? To us. See what is happening. So I can tell you what our friends are doing and all the things they are trying to distract attention is because some of them are running away from the issues that are beginning to pop up. So yes, at what cost? You talk about what? You talk about, what do you call it? We, the agri sector. That what the minister is saying is a lie. Why don't you call the minister to parliament and ask him how he came up with all these 745,000 employment numbers? Call him. You have that capacity. We will all be interested in hearing how he justifies the numbers. And he's been on the media. He's explained his numbers. Of course, some of the employment may be seasonal.
I can assure you I will, if nobody does.
Do that. Okay. Do that. And stop just propagating certain things that don't matter. Call him to parliament and let him come and justify his numbers.
Can't just chain out those,
so, Roland, I can assure you that MPP is driving this country into a destination that we all want. A destination that is also going to be beneficial to our friends in NDC. So they can say whatever they want, but I'm telling you, a lot of them are going to be ashamed because of what they have done to Ghana. A lot of them are going to have to probably face the law where there are evidence to take them to court. And I'm hoping that what Ghanaians were looking for by the change, because if you go to Bantama constituency, for instance, they will tell you, if you do town hall meeting, they will tell you, we know that Akufo-Addo is doing his policies. He's doing one district, one factory, he's pursuing all the major policies. But one of the things we want him to do is to collect our monies that has gotten into the wrong pockets for us. Okay? So what is going on right now? The office of the special prosecutor that has come to save Ghana. I reap for Ghana all the time. People intentionally steal money.
But it's a refrain that was touted during the campaign or the electioneering. It's still been a refrain that is being the content of the political communication of you, not only the members of parliament, but those who communicate for government, etc. Yes.
Roland, what are we seeing?
So far, nobody has been taken to court. Nobody has been prosecuted, etc.
Wait and see. We are just in the first year. We just finished the
And what's even under dispute, for example, as far as the sector or the subsector we're looking at? The Minister of Agriculture haven't come out to say that we have in excess of 740,000 jobs created in agriculture.
Okay.
That has been disputed on various fora, and the concerns have been raised about where are the numbers and where do we verify or synchronize those numbers?
For me, like you said, the chain, okay, the supply chain, jobs may have been created in the supply chain. What I want our friends in the NDC is to invite the minister to come to parliament. If they doubt these numbers, to explain. I have no reason for me, I have no where I stand, you know it. I have no reason to doubt what the minister is saying. So I believe that the minister is telling the truth. That is what I can say. Otherwise, if you doubt him, invite him to come to parliament and to explain his numbers. And I will bet you, if he comes, he'll be able to justify his numbers. Maybe some of the jobs may be seasonal because of the nature of agriculture. It may be seasonal. People are planting, there are people plowing the land, there are people tearing, harvesting and storage and all that, selling, cutting from the village to the city and all that. Maybe if they look into their estimates, that is what he thinks or knows has been created. Invite him and he'll justify his numbers. Why are you fighting these numbers? You shouldn't be fighting the numbers. You shouldn't. So I can tell you, so Roland, Ghanaians voted for a change.
Okay, so we're bringing to you
a good president.
Some live pictures from the floor of Parliament, and it is where we're bringing to you the live State of the Nation address. As you all know, it is a second by the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The second State of the Nation address by him, and of course, even though the Constitution says that is what it has to be, we want to know what the current state of the nation is, even though concerns will be raised by the other side of the political divide about what it should be, what should be on, and what concerns should be raised. Now, there are also issues of just recently, fuel prices going up, according to what the commentators would be astronomically, but we know where the answers will definitely lie. And we'll try to tease out some answers from our guests this morning. Again, we have here with us Daniel Aboagye, who is a member of parliament for Bantama, and then also Mohammed Abdulaziz, who is the member of parliament for Myong. And again, these live pictures will be coming to you live here on the channel, Joy News. You can stay tuned. You stick and stay. As always, get interactive. Joy News on TV is our page on Facebook. And also we have a Twitter handle, Joy News on TV. But just in case you don't know, you want to also watch us live, it's very easy for you to do. So log on to YouTube. My Joy Online TV is there. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your own perspective of the issues are. What do you think has been the state of the nation over the last year? What would you want the president to be telling you, being a reflection of what your livelihood has been over the last 12, 13 months under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the president of our republic? But a good reflection should also be coming from the education sector. And the debate is out there, but you speak to the ordinary Ghanaian, especially those who have experienced what the policy intentions have been for the implementation of the free SHS policy. It's the biggest milestone so far for the Nana Addo-led government.
Yes, and also as well as the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Well, we'll talk about that. As
yes.
far as corruption is concerned,
yes.
It's our next line of action. But let's talk about education.
Education. Well, Roland, I can assure you, an educated country or people is all that any country can boast of. The biggest investment we can have in anything is education. The biggest asset we have as a country, or even as a people, a family, nuclear or extended, is education. It's not cuckoo farm that can be bent down tomorrow. It's education. So what the president did is to afford opportunity for people with a free SHS policy, is to afford the opportunity for people who can ordinarily not afford to take their children to school, to go to school. And to begin the policy by saying, all those in the first year this time, unlike under our friends in the NDC, where some 10,000 people will be selected to be given some limited scholarship, and where they think they want to do it progressively, we think let's go all the way out, starting from 2017, 2018 academic year. And he started. People have embraced the policy. What we are discovering is that in spite of all the investment that my friend claims their government did in education, we still realize that people are still going to school on their bellies. We are discovering the infrastructural challenges that we have in the various schools.
Well, it just shows that they were enormous, and then it couldn't have been completed in a day.
They couldn't, but they were boasting.
Well, they had done the structures on the ground.
They were boasting.
And you could see the evidence on the ground.
I will tell you, they were boasting too much. They wanted to do 200 schools, and they promised doing 50 every year for the 4 years that, in their last term, 4 years. And how many did they do? Some 43 and various stages of completion. So you could see that they talk about the issue, they raise so much money, probably in the scheme of create loot and share, and come and tell us that they are solving the whole issue, not knowing that they only touch on the surface of the educational logistical challenge. And what we are discovering, and we acknowledge it, that there are problems. Because everybody wants to go to school. The schools are congested. They need logistics, they need furniture, they need buildings. We know.
Well,
we are not going to sit down for them to tell us. But the good thing is that we have started. In the US, you are your business, you are a consultant, you are a financial man. These days, unlike before, you don't plan a business before you start to. You plan as you go. Plan as you go. So we will deal with the challenges as they come, as we uncover them. And that is exactly what we're doing. So today, even the president, he has said it before, he will be the first to acknowledge that there are problems. But the cool thing is that we will deal with these problems as we go.
But you do agree that there's always an opportunity cost for something. So if you decide to invest in agriculture,
yes,
or you want to invest in infrastructure over a period of an 8-year reign of the NDC government, that also has its positives and its negatives. And
nobody said it's wrong.
What the concern has been is that the criticism against the John Mahama-led and the Mills administration have been that we don't seem to acknowledge that basic infrastructure was put in place in various sectors for the country.
I am one of the few advocates in MPP that say, let's give them some of that credit. Because normally they beg for it.
That you give them less credit than they are due.
Why not?
Why?
If you go and create and loot and share and cost the country 5.7 billion Ghana cedis, you want us to be giving all you the credit? If you create ghost roads, non-existent roads, and pay for it, you want us to give you all the credit? No. We call a spade a spade. Where you have done well, we will give you some credit. Where you have done evil, we will give it to you also. We will point it out and let you know that if Ghana had continued under NDC, would have been a serious mess. I'm telling you, so many people would have left this country and would probably go to Ivory Coast or Togo because of the hardship we're going through under our friends in NDC. And I'm saying, not everything is cool. The difference between us is that we'll tell the truth. Not everything is cool. Education, we have problems. Everywhere we go, we have problems. But the issue is that we can hope again. We have a president who is on top of issues, corruption, who is on top of issues, infrastructure, who is on top of issues, beginning to let us rethink, even as a people, rethink again. When I sit there and look at the vision of a country beyond aid, I said it's only a visionary leader who can lay the agenda. It doesn't have to be achieved under his watch. All of us must live to achieve it. So I'm telling you, NDC, the prayer has always been stay in opposition. And even as people say, in opposition, they have been incompetent. Well, they have been very, very incompetent.
I know there will be issues about boycotts and etc. And your claims.
I'm not sure if today they are coming because they can surprise us.
They will come. They said they will come.
No, I don't know. They can surprise us.
But Abdulaziz, the truth is that we've had an implementation of a policy for which government has gotten many accolades. Just recently, in a meeting that was hosted by Macky Sall of Senegal and Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, the president was given thumbs up by known celebrities around the world, known presidents and diplomats across the continent and the world, who had given all indications that policies such as making sure free access to secondary school education is mooted or started. That's a good way, and that's how it has to go, won't you say?
Roland, very beautiful.
Again, before you come in, you're seeing live pictures from the floor of Parliament, and you're already seeing the marshals, the various media houses, and the security apparatus of our country, making sure that all the structures and the arrangements are right, as we have the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, coming to read out the State of the Nation address. It is the second of his since he was inaugurated or sworn in as President of the Republic of Ghana on the 7th of January 2017, and just about 12 to 13 months down the lane, the members of Parliament and the general public, of course, because the media will be carrying it live, would want to know what the state of the nation is, and that's why we're bringing to these live pictures. Please, this is a channel that you have to be. The channel is right here on JoyNews, and you'll be watching us live throughout the event, not only here, but also online, where we know now data is cheap, so you can go to My Joy Online TV. Please let us know what you think on YouTube, My Joy Online TV, and also you can watch us live on Facebook, JoyNews on TV. But Abdul, education, free SHS, and the accolades that the president has been having over the last couple of, if not weeks, months, for a policy that has been touted as one that is going to revolutionize secondary education in our country.
A very interesting issue for us to look at. But even before free senior high school, you see, when you tell a lie in the morning, you are forced to tell another lie in the afternoon because you need to cover for the lie that you told in the morning.
And which lie is that?
Now, the MPP were unable to perform simply because they came to meet an empty coffers, because the NDC had borrowed a lot, because they came to meet a lot of deficits. Today, they are unable to perform because of the Auditor General's report. They are unable to perform because we paid for non-existing roads. And so they are inconsistent. And that's what I'm saying, that when you lie in the morning, you have to lie in the afternoon to cover it up. Remember that it all started by this missing 7 billion Ghana cedis. When they assumed office, what they first told us was that some 7 billion Ghana cedis was missing from the state coffers, only to come back to admit that these were commitments that were captured in the giving system. Now later we're told about how we bought some ambulances that were not fit for purpose and that we had even paid for it. The Minister for Health took pressmen and carried them to see those ambulances that he said were unfit for use and that we had paid for, only to be told that the government had only issued a letter of credit, an LC, for it. We were told that former government appointees had stolen state vehicles and that some of them were even hidden in our garages. We were even shown pictures of Land Cruisers in garages.
We're discussing education.
No, even before he came to education, he peddled a lot of propaganda that I need to react to. Now, they are talking about Auditor General's report. Interesting. The Auditor General's report doesn't end there. It also goes to the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. Some people, they have responded. In fact, you are just telling me of the response of the Association of Road Contractors. These are not former government appointees. We have begun challenging some of these reports. Now, from the Auditor General's office, it goes to the Public Accounts Committee. In fact, even when people are indicted by the Public Accounts Committee and they are prosecuted, they will still have a right to defense. And so it is not conclusive. Let's see how it will pan out. But you see, very interesting times. President Akufo-Addo says that he has saved this country some 7.8 billion Ghana cedis from the review of existing contracts. What contracts? What were the amounts? When you go ahead to terminate contracts and in some instances reduce the scope of contracts, and I've just given you a very classical example in my constituency. When you do these things and you say you have saved this country some 7.8 billion, you are not being truthful. You are not being truthful. You see, it is interesting when you talk about corruption. You guys should be the last group of people to be talking about corruption.
We're talking education. We'll come to corruption.
Well, free senior high school. In fact, I can assure you that would be a major highlight of the president's presentation to Parliament. Free senior high school, office of the special prosecutor would be the major highlight of the president's speech. But I am not bothered about celebrities and diplomats showering some accolades on President Akufo-Addo for free senior high school. That is not what I'm looking for. I am looking for the delivery of quality free senior high school. I am looking for a free senior high school that guarantees that every person willing to attain secondary education would attain that in a very good environment. Roland, my friend was talking about free senior high school for all. In fact, those who are showering these accolades on President Akufo-Addo are not privy to some of the things that he said before coming into power. In fact, you and I are aware that what they promised the Ghanaian public was free senior high school for all, universal free senior high school. That is not what they are implementing today. What they are doing today is a free senior high school for only first years, in tandem with the 1992 Constitution and in tandem with what the NDC promised to do. They are doing the progressive introduction of the free senior high school. Something we advocated for that they condemned is what they are doing today. The Minister for Finance, appointed by President Kufuor, not President Mahama and not the NDC.
You mean President Akufo-Addo?
President Akufo-Addo provided for 400 million Ghana cedis for the first term of the free senior high school. In fact, you and I are aware that the government has only released 20% of that funding. In fact, you and I are aware that to a large extent, they had to depend on the school fees paid by second and third years to cater for the first years. You are aware that they have not paid for most of the supplies, the uniforms, the foodstuff, they haven't paid for their owing. Now, if you provide for 400 million Ghana cedis, and all that you have managed to do is some 80 million Ghana cedis because you don't have money, and yet you can find 800,000 for a website. You and I are aware of the horrifying experiences that our people are going through. You have seen how students are sleeping on corridors. You have seen how the classrooms are overcrowded. You have seen and heard from the headmasters and headmistresses. You have heard teachers complain.
Are they still raising concerns?
They are still raising concerns because those challenges have not been resolved. They have not added anything to the infrastructure in respect of senior high school. Our classrooms are still crowded. Our dormitories are still overcrowded. Teachers are still dealing with the huge numbers. And so for some diplomat somewhere who doesn't understand the realities on the ground to have praised President Akufo-Addo, I can grant them that. We know exactly what we are going through as a country, that the free senior high school is a failure. This is not what they promised us. How many of them in parliament from the majority side would want to see their siblings and children go through what these kids are going through? And yet you want us to praise you for free senior high school. We would not do that.
Have you talked to the ordinary man on the street? Or the ordinary woman who has the child or her child in free senior high school? And those are the opinions that you need to solicit to know how acceptable or not a policy has been implemented by a certain government, so to speak. I believe that should be basic.
Roland, I am not speaking for myself and I'm not speaking for the minority on this matter.
Are you saying your constituents are complaining?
I have
the free senior high school that has been implemented for which they have their children entering first year.
Roland,
yes, sir.
Your own television station have shown to the Ghanaian public the horrifying pictures of what our siblings and kids go through. Your own station have shown it. Your own station have shown it. In fact, I've had parents call me to tell me that they want money to rent rooms because their children have been posted to schools outside where they live. For instance, when you are from Sang in my constituency and you are posted to Techiman as a day student, when you get there, what it means is that you are going to rent a room, you are going to furnish that room, you are going to pay for utility bills in that room, and that the parent will not have the opportunity to even mentor and see the child through. And so what President Mahama and the NDC thought was better for us to do was to increase access so that at least every district, every constituency can boast of some infrastructure in respect of senior high school. And so when people who don't know what we are going through begin to shower accolades on President Akufo-Addo, and my friend like Honorable Aboagye gets mentally bloated because of that, I am worried. I mean, my concern is what's happening in Ghana, not what some diplomat or celebrity.
Noted. Well, we have to leave you. It's been a great conversation, the two of you. I've enjoyed every part of it. But again, thank you for passing through. We know that it's the state of the nation. I've had here with me Daniel Aboagye. He's a member of parliament for Bantama, and also Mohammed Abdulaziz. The two of them are my very good friends, and we always get on well, especially since they are regulars on the show. Very soon we'll be taking you to the forecourt of parliament, where Mama Vioso Aboagye will be speaking to Dr. Clement Apak, who is a member of parliament for Busa South. But before we move on, though, we have to go to the market, because we also want to gauge what the mood is, what the ordinary Ghanaian market woman would think, or what the ordinary Ghanaian is thinking about the state of the nation just about 13 months or 12 months on after the MPP-led administration, of course led by the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, took over the reins of governance of our country. So MF Ajira Dossier is ready with the latest Nancy Jiradosi. I got that one right. And so MFA Jiradosi is ready for the latest update with the market women, but thereafter we'll go live to Mama V. Aboagye, who will be speaking to Dr. Clement Apako, who is a member of parliament for Busa South. But please, let's get to the market. And Nancy MFA Jiradosi is ready with some highlight of what the opinion or thoughts are of some market women somewhere in the capital, Accra.
As the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, will be putting out the State of the Nation's address. Now, if you remember, 2017, 21st of February, the president promised that he was going to put out some very good policies to ensure sustainable growth and then, do away with corruption. Now, we are at the Nima market today to find out from these market women what the state of their livelihood, or the state of the market is for them, whether indeed it's going to corroborate with that of the president, and ask them what they're expecting from tomorrow's State of the Nation's address. The cost of Gary has been reduced for us, but we are not making sales. All our profits now goes into transport because of fuel hikes. Not just away this canary. How will you describe what Sitnemu as Obia Wudija? Because I have 3 children, so you can imagine it's not easy. I'll score the improvement in my standard of living as 30%.
Last year near the G1 CD, but this year no price.
Coconut was going for 1 Ghana cedis per one, but now it's being sold to us for 2 Ghana cedis due to the increase in transportation fares. It affects us greatly. All we want is an improvement in our lives, because for now nothing seems to be working for us.
Last year, people were buying. Now the market is bad. But I have children at home to take care of. So you can imagine. Then on top, they increased petrol.
Okay, last year, I turned 2.2.
Last year, a sack of maize was going for 220 Ghana cedis. The prices should have been reduced by now, but it's still the same. The cost of living also keeps going high. And the strength of the cedi against the CFA and the dollar is a major challenge. And fares are too expensive because drivers say that the cost of petrol is also increasing. Well, I'll score the increment or the improvement in my standard of living as 90%.